Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I've come up with the topic of major export and import documents required in international business. We all know there are a large number of documents required mainly by the customs or port authorities, and every export shipment involves a large number of export and import documents. However, the format may vary, but the documents are generally the same. In this tutorial, we will be dealing with the explanation of documents which are required till the stage of customs clearance of the export shipment, such as certificate of origin, pre-shipment inspection, exchange control documents, maid's receipt, bill of lading, bill of exchange, etc. The process of documentation actually begins when the exporter receives an order by the placed by the importer. It is generally a complex, cumbersome, and a costly process. That is, the dealing with the documentation is a very costly process in terms of money and time involved. Coming on to the export documents, we can classify our export documents into two categories: commercial documents and regulatory documents. Commercial documents can further be classified into principal commercial documents and auxiliary commercial documents. We'll be dealing in detail what are the meanings of these documents and what are the major categories of further these documents. First one, we have commercial documents. Commercial documents are used by the exporter and importer in discharge of their respective legal and other incidental responsibilities under the contract of sale. These documents are used because of custom of trade in international commerce. Now the question comes is, why do we need commercial documents? Because they help in physical transfer or physical movement of goods from the exporter's place to the importer's place. Next, to transfer property and title of goods, that is ownership of goods from the exporter to the importer. Next, commercial documents help you to realize the payment of export sales. Until and unless you don't have commercial documents, you cannot realize, you cannot get the payment of your goods. Coming on to the next, we have classification of commercial documents. Commercial documents can be classified into two categories: principal commercial documents and auxiliary commercial documents. There are a number of documents in each head. First, we will be discussing what are principal commercial documents. Under principal commercial documents, we have commercial invoice, customs invoice, legalized or visited invoice, consular invoice, combined certificate of origin and value, packing list, certificate of inspection, insurance policy or certificate of insurance, bill of lading, airway bill or combined transport document, certificate of origin, bill of exchange, and shipment advice. Coming back, we have auxiliary commercial documents, under which we have performer invoice, shipping instruction, insurance declaration, intimation for inspection, shipping order, maid's receipt, application for certificate of origin, and we have letter to bank for negotiation or collection of documents. The first document under the principal commercial documents we have is commercial invoice. Principal commercial documents or the commercial invoice. Commercial invoice is the basic and the most important document issued by the exporter in a standardized format. It provides a list of shipped goods and a detail of other charges. It provides a complete description of goods, such as price per unit at a particular location, quantity of goods, total value, packing specification, terms of sale, identification marks of package, names and addresses of the importer and exporter, name of the port of loading and destination. Sometimes we may also call commercial invoice as a document of contents because it contains all the details about the good. In commercial invoice, we have the breakdown of charges related to inland transportation, loading charges, freight charges, insurance charges, and others which should be provided. A commercial document should always be signed by the exporter or his authorized signatory. It is the prima facie evidence of the contract of sale or purchase, and therefore it must be prepared strictly according to the contract of sale. Now, the commercial invoice can take any of these four forms. Coming on to the first one, we have customs invoice. When the commercial invoice is prepared on the format prescribed by the customs authorities of the importer's country, it is called customs invoice. Countries like Canada and US needs customs invoice. This is required so that goods could enter at tariff rate. An exporter can obtain copies of this invoice from any shop selling government publications and forms. Coming on to the next form of commercial invoice, we have legalized or desired invoice. This invoice is required by some Latin American countries like Mexico, Turkey, Taiwan, etc. There is no specific prescribed format of this invoice. An ordinary invoice is acceptable for legalization. As the name suggests, it is for legalization, to be legal. Coming on to the next form of commercial invoice, we have consular invoice. Sometimes the importer requires the invoice to be certified by the consulate of his country stationed in the exporter's country, that is, from the embassy. The exporter has to pay some fees for the certification of this invoice to the embassy concerned. That is, to the embassy concerned means to the importer's embassy, to the importing country's embassy in the exporter's country. Consular invoice is required to be prepared in a prescribed format. Consular invoices forms are generally available at the importing country's consuls or consulates. Exporter has to submit 3 copies of consular invoice to the consulate of the importing country concerned that certify them in return of fee. Countries like Philippines, Kenya, Australia, Fiji, Ghana, Burma, Tanzania, etc. require consular invoice. Coming on to the next form of commercial invoice, we now have combined certificate of origin and value. As the name suggests, it is a statement of value of goods made by the exporter in exporting the goods. This certificate is used to determine what import duty should be payable by the importer at his destination. It is a special printed form needed by the Commonwealth countries. Now we have the second principal commercial document, that is packing list. Packing list, as we can understand from the name itself, what all goods have been packed in the container. That is, it is a detailed itemization of goods. It is prepared in a prescribed format. It enables the importer of the shipment to check the shipment to maintain a record of inventory. The packaging list omits the unit rate and value good. That is, in packing list, the value of goods is omitted, but the detailed specification of the goods are mentioned. That is, merchandise number of cartons, weight of package, etc. Weight should be displayed both in US pounds and metric. A packing note is, however, different from packing list. Under packing note, we talk about particulars of contents of an individual pack, while packing list is detailed statement of the number of contents of a pack. Packing list is prepared as per the instructions of the importer. Coming on to the next principal commercial document, we have certificate of inspection. Some export goods are notified for compulsory pre-shipment inspection under the Export Quality Control and Inspection Act 1963. Such inspection is done by the export inspection agencies, and they issue the certificate of inspection if satisfied as per norms. Where compulsory inspection is not required by the export inspection agency, the exporter has to get the inspection done through private inspection agency or through any other arrangement as per agreement between the exporter and the importer. Coming on to the next principal commercial document, we have insurance policy or certificate of insurance. This insurance policy or the certificate of insurance is indicating the insurance of cargo. The cargo is insured by the exporter and the policy is issued by the insurance company. Insurance policy and certificate are generally different from each other. While the insurance certificate is just an evidence of insurance, while insurance policy states the detailed terms and conditions of the insurance of goods. Coming on to the next principal commercial documents, we have bill of lading. Bill of lading is a document which is issued by the shipping company or its agent acknowledging the receipt of goods on board the vessel and undertaking to deliver the goods in the like order and condition as received to the consignee or his order, provided the freight and other charges specified in the bill have been duly paid. It is a document of title to the goods and as such is freely transferable by endorsement and delivery. A bill of lading is generally made out in sets of 2 or 3 originals. All originals are duly signed by the master of the ship or the agent of the shipping company, and all the originals are equally valid for taking the delivery of goods. Once one original is utilized, the other originals become null and void. All the original BLs should bear the stamp duty. A BL generally serves three main purposes: document of title, receipt of goods, and contract of carriage. Coming on to the next transport document, we have combined transport document. When the shipment is sent through more than one means of transport, we use combined transport document. It covers the movement of goods from the starting to the finishing point. Coming on to the third category of transport document, we have airway bill. Airway bill is issued when an air carrier transports the goods from exporter's country to importer's country. It is a contract between exporter of the goods and the carrier or its agents like bill of lading. But airway bill is non-negotiable in nature and is not a document of title of goods. It is also known as air consignment note. Every air carrier has a unique number for identification purpose. Coming on to the next principal commercial document, we have certificate of origin. As the name suggests, it is the document that certifies the place, that is the country of the origin of goods. It indicates that the goods which are being exported are actually manufactured in a specific country mentioned therein. It may be on the shipper's letterhead, but it should be signed by the Chamber of Commerce. It is very useful for the clearance of goods from the customs authority of the importing country. Export Promotion Council, PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Indian Merchants Chamber, the Indo-Arab Chamber of Commerce, and the various other trade associations have been authorized by the Government of India to issue certificate of origin. Coming on to the next, we have Bill of Exchange. We have already discussed Bill of Exchange in class 11th accounts. We will discuss it once again. Bill of exchange is an unconditional order in writing from the drawer, that is the exporter, to drawee, that is importer, to pay a particular sum of money to a particular person at a particular mentioned date. It is prepared in international currency or Indian rupees depending upon the terms of contract. There are generally three parties to the bill of exchange: drawer, drawee, and payee. However, drawer and payee may be the same party sometimes. Coming on to the next principal commercial documents, we have shipment advice. A shipment advice is used to inform the overseas customer about the details of shipment of goods such as invoice number, bill of lading, airway bill, number and date, the port of export, the name of the vessel, description of goods, quantity, weight, packing, etc., the date of selling of vessel, etc. The required set of documents are sent separately to the buyer through the bank. Now we have the auxiliary commercial documents. In the first auxiliary commercial documents, we have सबसे पहले तो ये ऑक्सिलरी कमर्शियल डॉक्यूमेंट्स थे क्या? Auxiliary commercial documents are those which are required for the preparation or procurement of principal export documents. To get the principal commercial documents, we need auxiliary commercial documents, right? That means auxiliary commercial documents are a prerequisite for principal commercial documents. The first one we have proforma invoice. Proforma invoice is always prepared by the exporter. That is, it is prepared before commercial before commercial invoice. Proforma invoice and commercial invoice are separate and different. Proforma invoice is generally an offer to sale made by the exporter to importer for necessary acceptance. Once the offer is accepted by the importer, proforma invoice becomes an export order. Coming on to the next auxiliary commercial document, I have shipping instructions. Shipping instructions is used to convey the desired shipping instructions to the shipping agent. It contains the list of various shipping instructions and is prepared by the exporter. Coming on to the next auxiliary commercial document, we have insurance declaration. This document is prescribed by the insurance companies wherein the exporter seeking insurance of the goods makes the declaration with regard to the insurance policy desired and the nature of goods. Coming on to the next one, we have intimation for inspection. The exporter has to give notice for inspection of export shipment in the form prescribed by the export inspection agency. Coming on to the next, we have shipping order. Shipping order is a reservation slip issued by the shipping line. The slip intimates the exporter about the reservation of shipping space for a particular export shipment. If the shipment is sent by air, then the reservation slip is called carting order. Coming on to the next, we have maid's receipt. Maid's receipt is issued by the maid, that is chief officer or commanding officer of the ship, when the cargo is loaded on the ship. This receipt states the condition in which goods are received on the ship. This receipt is not a document of title of goods and is used only and only for sea shipments. Maid's receipt specifies the condition in which the goods have been received. Maid's receipt can be of two types: clean maid receipt and qualified maid receipt. If the commanding officer of the ship is satisfied that the goods are packed properly and there is no defect in the packing of cargo, he issues a clean maid receipt. When the commanding officer of the ship is not satisfied with the packing of goods and shipping company does not take any responsibility for damage of goods during transit, he issues a qualified maid receipt. Coming on to the next auxiliary commercial documents, we have application for certificate of origin. Under principal commercial documents, we did certificate of origin. Under auxiliary commercial documents, we'll do application for certificate of origin. For the issue of certificate of origin, the exporter has to fill an application form and submit that to the Chamber of Commerce or its authorized agency. Coming on to the next, we have letter to bank for negotiation or collection of documents. It contains all the required information that can be given to bank for negotiation or collection of documents. Now we start with regulatory documents. What are regulatory documents? Regulatory documents are the pre-shipment export documents which have been prescribed by the different government departments and its bodies in the context of export trade. These documents are meant to comply with the various rules and regulations under various laws governing export trade, such as Central Excise Councils, FEMA Act, Foreign Exchange Management Act, Major Port Trust Act, etc. These fulfill the legal requirements, and these documents, they serve as a proof for export transactions. Coming on to the first one, we have various types of regulatory documents which we'll be discussing in detail. Coming on to the first one, we have exchange control declaration form. Exchange control declaration form is because we receive the payment in foreign country, we have to get that converted in INR. For that, we need exchange control declaration form. This is to regulate export transactions. In India, it is done by Reserve Bank of India, that is Central Bank. Certain forms have been prescribed by RBI to declare the export transactions. These forms are known as GR, PP, Softex, SDF forms and are used for specific shipments. The exporter has to choose the appropriate form as per the declaration implies. Coming on to the next regulatory document, we have Freight Payment Certificate. The name, as it indicates, the freight has been paid. It is like a receipt for payment of freight. Coming on to the next, we have Insurance Payment Premium Certificate. It is the proof of payment of insurance premium. Coming on to the next, we have Gate Pass 1 and 2. This earlier used to be a part of our regulatory document, but it now has been deleted from the regulatory documents. Gate Pass was generally used for removal of excisable goods from the factory on or without payment of duty. Coming on to the next, we have ARE1, that is Application for Removal of Excisable Goods for Export. It is basically an application for the removal of excisable goods from the factory premises for export purposes. This document is used for obtaining approval of Central Excise Authority to send export shipment. In case the goods are exempt from the requirement of Central Excise, then this document is not used. Coming on to the next regulatory document, we have Shipping Bill or Bill of Export. The Shipping Bill is the main customs authority document required by the customs authority for granting permission for shipment of goods. It contains particulars of goods exported, name of vessel, number, kind of vessels, number and kind of packages, shipping mark, numbers, value of goods, destination country, name and addresses of importer and exporter. It is also called Bill of Export. Shipping bill is used when the shipment is sent by sea or air, and bill of export is used by the ship when the shipment is sent by road. It is also called bill of export. We generally have many types of shipping bill: free shipping bill, dutiable shipping bill, drawback shipping bill, or DEPB shipping bill when the goods are under DEPB scheme, or shipping bill for shipment ex bond when the goods are required to be kept in bond. Coming on to the next regulatory document, we have Port Trust Copy of Shipping Bill or Export Application or Dock Challan. This form is the same as shipping bill. The exporter has to pay port and dock charges when the shipment is sent by sea. The volume, weight, measurement, nature of goods, etc. are the factors that determine the amount of these charges. These details are given in the prescribed form, which is known as different names such as Port Trust Copy of Shipping Bill, Export Application, Dock Challan at different ports. Coming on to the next, we have Receipt for Payment of Port Charges. The receipt of payment is received by the exporter when he pays all the port and dock charges. It is issued by the Port Trust Authority. Coming on to the next, we have Vehicle Ticket. It is the entry pass required by the Port Trust Authority for admittance of cargo through the port gate. It is also known as Gate Pass or Cart Ticket or Cart Sheet. It includes details of cargo such as exporter's name, number of packages, shipping bill number, port of destination, number of vehicles carrying the cargo. The cargo cannot cross the port gate without showing this ticket. Now what are the extra documents or certificates? Apart from regulatory documents, apart from commercial documents, we have blacklist certificate, language certificate, antiquity certificate, certificate of chemical analysis, health veterinary, sanitary certificate, sanitary certificate, and ingredient certificate. First, we have blacklist certificate. Blacklist certificate states that the ship carrying the goods has not touched the ports of a particular country. This certificate is mandatory when the countries involved in export-import have strained political relationship. Coming on to the next, we have language certificate. This certificate is issued by the Textile Committee as it is required in case of export of handloom products to the European Union countries. The Textiles Committee issues this certificate against a prescribed fee. Coming on to the next, we have Antiquity Certificate. This certificate is issued by the Archaeological Survey of India and is required for the export of antiques from India. Coming on to the next, we have Certificate of Chemical Analysis. This certificate is issued by a recognized chemical analyst to ensure that the quality and grade of items like metallic ores, pigments, etc. The exporter is under an obligation to get the certificate as per the requirement of importer. Coming on to the next, we have Certificate of Measurement. The certificate is issued when the Indian Chamber of Commerce or any other recognized organization, when it is required to measure the volume of shipment to determine the amount of freight charges. The certificate contains the name of vessel, port of destination, description of goods, quantity, length, breadth, etc. of packages. Coming on to the next, we have Health, Veterinary or Sanitary Certificate. This certificate is applicable in case of export of foodstuffs, marine products, livestock, etc. An exporter is under an obligation to get this certificate from health, veterinary or sanitary authorities to certify that the goods being exported are fit for human consumption. Coming on to the next, we have Phytosanitary Certificate. This certificate is required in case of export of plants and plant products. This certifies that the plant or the plant product being exported are free from quarantine pests and substantially free from other injurious pests. This certificate is issued by the Directorate of Plant Protection, Quarantine and Storage, Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India through various regional offices. Coming on to the next extra document, we have ingredient certificate. जैसा कि नाम से we can understand, a certificate of ingredient may be requested for food products with labels that are inadequate or incomplete. The certificate may be issued by the manufacturer and must give a description of the product, contents and percentage of each ingredient, chemical data, microbiological standards, storage instructions, shelf life, date of manufacture. If animal fats are used, the certificate must state the type of fat used and that the product contains no pork, artificial pork flavor or pork fat. All foodstuffs are subject to analysis of Ministry of Health laboratories to establish their fitness for use. That is, you cannot use the product unless it has an ingredient certificate. Coming on to what we have done in this tutorial, an exporter should always comply with all the formalities while preparing the required documents, either it is pre-shipment or post-shipment stage of transaction. In this video, we have dealt with the various documents required with the pre-shipment stage for pre-shipment inspection, central excise, customs clearance, etc. Large organizations have their own separate export document department headed by a manager, while in a small organization, they take the services of clearing and forwarding agent for the document preparation. This was all about my today's video. If you enjoyed watching my video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.